Between last year's killer clown epidemic and the recent release of the new It movie, scary clowns have certainly become an interesting topic of discussion in modern culture. Though there is a clear and apparent divide between actual professional clowns and these low-life creeps, it's hard to deny that there's many a reason why loads of people find someone in a clown costume to be more than a little unnerving. The 7 so-called clowns on today's list provide just such reasons. Here are 7 of the scariest real-life clowns. Number 7. Kutzo. Amon Paul Carluck Jr. was a former minister from Springfield, Illinois, but he also took up the moniker Kutzo when he performed as a seemingly friendly clown to countless children in Sunday school. But he was anything but friendly. You see, hiding behind his cheerful facade was a terrible, wicked man. Once returning from a day of clowning at an orphanage in the Philippines, Carluck was stopped for a routine check at the airport. That particular zone was a known hotspot for child trafficking, so this was nothing unusual. What was unusual, however, was the photos of small, naked children on his camera and laptop. With the photos as evidence, his home was also raided, and even more depraved media was discovered. Number 6. The Killer Clown Gangs of France. If you thought the so-called clown epidemic of 2016 was a new thing, well, just think again. There have been sporadic waves of spooky clown activity for many, many years. One such example are the clown gangs that started to pop up across France in 2014. That's right, gangs of criminals dressed up as horrifying clowns and proceeded to terrorize and pillage cities all across France. The reasoning behind their choice of attire is sound, after all. Not only do clowns have an inherent level of eeriness that helps naturally intimidate those who see them in unfitting locations, but the heavy grease makeup also makes it very difficult to identify said criminals in a lineup. These clown gangs were rapidly growing until police started to crack down on them after a brutal attack of a man with an iron bar by a man in full clown costume. In response to the wave of violent wannabe clowns, several cities even temporarily banned clown costumes altogether. Number 5. Zaza B. This next clown, though a real person at one point in time, grew to become a terrifying urban legend in Liverpool. Back in the early 1900s, Frederick Zaza B moved to Liverpool from Czechoslovakia. He worked as the circus clown Zaza B, but sadly he found no joy in it. Eventually, Zaza B killed himself, but it seems his spirit never left. Even to this day, local children report seeing the ghostly apparition of a frightful clown. In 2002, several children were awoken from their slumbers by the sound of a strange, ghostly laughter. When they went to their window to seek the source, they were met with the vision of a terrifying clown pointing directly at them and beckoning. His eyes were sunken in, appearing as black pits in a withered skull of a face, and his nose was long and bent. The children were reasonably terrified, so they fled the window to retrieve their parents. When the adults arrived, there was no sign of the apparition. However, they did recognize a strange, sickly sweet smell that was left behind. It was the smell of embalming fluid. Number 4. El Tin Larin. Jose Guadalupe Jimenez worked birthday parties in LA as the clown El Tin Larin, but sadly, it wasn't all just fun and games. There was a dark side to this so-called party clown. In 2002, Jimenez abducted a 12-year-old girl from a fast food restaurant. And it gets worse. You see, he did this all while in his full clown costume. He brought her to a grungy motel and attempted to sexually assault her. Fortunately, the girl managed to escape. However, since the clown costume made him hard to identify, her attacker went unknown for 8 years. It wasn't until he attacked another girl in 2010 when he was finally caught and sentenced to 10 years in prison for his crimes. Number 3. Wrinkles. This clown is not a horrifying phantom or criminal like the others, but is in fact a terror for hire, which is equally frightening in its own regard. See, if you live in the Naples area of Florida and need help laying down the law with an unruly child, Wrinkles the Clown is here to help. This horrifying clown with his uncanny mask and black mad scientist gloves is designed to be as frightening as possible. So, for a modest fee, Wrinkles can show up at your very own home and terrorize your naughty children. Or any clown-fearing friends while you're at it. Either way, that is one mug I would not like to see at my window any day. Number 2. Pogo. The reason this next clown isn't number 1 is strictly due to the fact that there is hardly a soul who doesn't already know of him. I'm of course talking about John Wayne Gacy, aka Pogo the Clown, one of the most infamous killer clowns of all time. Gacy was a horrific Chicago serial killer responsible for the deaths of at least 33 young boys. During his time off from his normal building contractor position, Gacy worked birthday parties as Pogo the Clown. His first kill was in 1972 when he brought a teenage boy named Timothy McCoy home and then killed him, disposing of his body in the crawl space. From there, he went on to kill many more boys by luring them to his home until he was finally caught in 1978. Number 1. The Cold Case Clown. Back in 1990 in Wellington, Florida, a woman heard a knock on her door at 10:45 in the morning. With no reason to suspect anything unusual, she went to answer the door. But instead of a friendly visitor or the mailman, she was met face to face with a terrifying clown holding a bouquet of red and white flowers and 2 balloons. Without so much as a word, the clown lifted a handgun and shot her point blank in the face. Sadly, she died 2 days later at the hospital. Her teenage son had seen the whole incident and was able to describe it to the police. Though the woman's husband was suspected in the crime, no hard evidence was ever able to connect him, and to this day, the case remains unsolved. So, there you have it. I hope you enjoyed this unnerving list of some of the most untrustworthy jesters and jokers to ever disgrace the earth. I'll catch you all in the next video, and until then, remember, we all float down here. Thanks for watching, and before you go, here's a special shout out to my patrons who donated $20 or more. Mortem Guterres, Jocelyn Cunningham, Jesse, Darknit Otaki, Simon Laverdier Delisle, and Avrok Levgrease. Thanks so much, you guys. If you're interested in becoming a patron and helping me to keep YouTube creepy, please feel free to check out the link in the card.